Welcome to UK Dark Files, where the forgotten are remembered, and the truths they tried to bury rise again. I am Orion Banks. Turn down the lights and step into the unknown.
For as long as anyone can remember, Mount Shasta has been regarded as a gateway to another world, a place where lights shine that do not belong to the sun, where figures move without leaving footprints, and where the only answer to every question is absolute silence. From strange rituals carried out deep within the forest, to the eyes of people whose names have never appeared on any census records, from a city said to be constructed from light, to beings believed capable of reading minds, this video will uncover every mystery that surrounds Mount Shasta. So fasten your seatbelt as we dive into today's mystery. But first, you'll have incredible luck if you like and subscribe before this video ends. There are mountains that exist merely as geographic symbols, but then there are those that carry with them the weight of an entire mythology. Mount Shasta is one of the rare few. Surrounded by the wilderness of Northern California, this majestic peak is not only a natural wonder, it is also the center of one of the most surreal legends in the United States. That legend speaks of a city hidden deep beneath the mountain, inhabited by a mysterious race whose intelligence far exceeds the boundaries of our time, the Lemurians. Who are they? Where did they come from? And what has allowed Mount Shasta to maintain its status for decades as a sacred and mysterious sanctuary, where the line between reality and legend becomes strangely thin? With an elevation of over 14,000 feet, roughly 4,300 meters, the mountain rises vertically from the lush green valley below, unaccompanied by any surrounding ranges, making it appear as a mythical pillar erupting from the earth itself. And it is precisely that solitude, combined with its overwhelming height, that contributes to the almost otherworldly feeling one experiences when standing before Shasta, as if it does not quite belong to this world. It is said that on clear days, Mount Shasta can be seen from as far as 140 miles away. For hundreds of years, the image of this silent peak rising into the sky has become a symbol of inspiration, not only for painters, poets, and explorers, but also for those drawn to the unknown. It is no wonder that the native peoples living around Shasta, from the Wintu and the Modoc to the Shasta tribe itself, have always regarded this mountain as sacred. They do not merely respect it, they believe that Shasta is the dwelling place of ancient spirits, of ancestors, and of beings that transcend the human realm. Legends passed down through generations have transformed Mount Shasta into one of the greatest centers of spiritual energy in the United States. However, among the countless stories that surround the mountain, there is one legend that has stepped beyond the bounds of indigenous culture and seeped into the collective consciousness. It is the tale of a city hidden beneath the mountain and of an ancient race who possesses a kind of knowledge the modern world has yet to understand. And from there, the legend of the Lemurians and the city of Telos begins. For centuries, mystics, spiritual seekers, and those drawn to the unexplained have passed along stories of a once glorious civilization, one said to have been buried by time and ocean alike, the civilization of Lemuria. Unlike Atlantis, which is widely known through ancient Greek texts, Lemuria appeared later in recorded lore, but it is no less mysterious. And according to one of the strangest legends connected to Mount Shasta, when Lemuria was destroyed by a cataclysmic geological event, a small group of survivors embarked on what was described as a divine exodus. They chose a solitary mountain in Northern California as their new sanctuary. There, beneath Mount Shasta, they built a hidden city known as Telos. This city, as passed down through generations of stories, was not just a place to live. It became a symbol of knowledge far ahead of its time. The Lemurians were described as beings of extraordinary height, often reaching 7 feet tall, with luminous white skin, thick, radiant hair, and a graceful presence that made them seem as if they had come from another world altogether. Their long, elegant necks were often adorned with gemstone-studded collars, giving them an aura that felt both divine and otherworldly. Their clothing consisted of long white robes that flowed to the floor. But what made the Lemurians one of the most captivating mythical races within esoteric circles was not just their appearance, it was the technology they were believed to have possessed. The stories surrounding them make no hesitation in claiming that the Lemurians had mastered energy forms still unnamed by modern science, ranging from reverse gravity to electromagnetism, and even the manipulation of time and space itself. They were said to travel using cigar-shaped aerial ships that could rise straight from the Earth and vanish into the sky in the blink of an eye. Inside Telos, according to those who claim to have been guided there during states of deep meditation or through spiritual channels, lies a network of tunnels aglow with the light of crystalline energy, where every chamber and grand hall is adorned with precious metals and intricately carved stone, creating a city that is not merely a dwelling, but a living symbol of the harmony between intellect, technology, and spirit. Perhaps the most intriguing aspect lies in the Lemurians' reported spiritual capabilities. It is believed they possessed a special organ located in the center of the forehead, what many would call a third eye, that allowed them to read thoughts, move objects with intention, and even dissolve themselves into invisibility when they wished not to be seen. From all the stories passed down, the image of the Lemurians emerges as a mirror reflecting humanity's eternal longing to live in harmony with nature, to possess wisdom far beyond the present age, and to preserve a culture untainted by the destructive cycles of the modern world. And if this legend is true, then Telos may not be a place that was ever forgotten. It may simply be waiting, quietly, for someone destined to find it. Not all legends are passed down by word of mouth, and the tale of the Lemurians beneath Mount Shasta began to take form near the end of the 19th century, thanks to a young man named Frederick Spencer Oliver. In the summer of 1883, while still just a teenager, Oliver was helping his family stake out mining claims near the base of Mount Shasta. The task seemed simple enough, marking the land with wooden posts and noting their positions. But one afternoon, what should have been routine became a moment that would forever alter the course of his life. While still holding a pen in hand, Oliver suddenly felt his arm tremble uncontrollably. To his shock and confusion, his hand began to write out strange words he had no control over. Frightened, he returned home, but the phenomenon did not stop. His hand continued to write ceaselessly, covering page after page with cryptic messages. His mother, who would later become the caretaker of his legacy, quickly provided more paper, allowing her son to continue writing. And slowly, a mysterious manuscript began to take shape. By 1895, when the manuscript was finally complete, Oliver gave it a title, A Dweller on Two Planets. And according to Oliver himself, this book was not something he had written. Rather, it had been transmitted to him by a Lemurian being who lived beneath Mount Shasta. They had chosen Oliver as a channel to reveal their history, a history buried beneath stone and time, now brought back through what he described as automatic writing, a rare phenomenon within the world of the occult. The book describes, in chilling detail, the city of Telos. Oliver wrote of corridors illuminated by artificial crystal light, of doors that seamlessly retracted into stone walls, of rooms plated in gold and silver, and carpets so soft that walking on them felt like stepping on light itself. This city was not the damp, dark place most would imagine when thinking of an underground world. Instead, it was an architectural paradise bathed in metallic brilliance, powered by energies that modern science could only begin to grasp through the lens of quantum theory. He even described cigar-shaped flying ships that glided with the grace of living beings, along with advanced transportation systems eerily similar to the magnetic levitation trains of a future era. Considering these descriptions were penned in the late 19th century, they were staggeringly bold, so much so that even contemporary scientists reacted with astonishment. For Oliver, there was no doubt. He believed he had been spiritually guided deep into the city, where he witnessed firsthand everything he described. He believed himself to be the chosen messenger, tasked with bringing knowledge from the hidden world below to the modern human race. When Oliver passed away in 1899 at the age of 33, the manuscript had yet to be published. But in 1905, his mother, Mary Elizabeth Manley Oliver, brought the work into the world. And almost instantly, it ignited a quiet frenzy among esoteric circles, New Age communities, and groups devoted to the study of metaphysical phenomena. To those who believe in the existence of the unexplained, A Dweller on Two Planets is not just a book. It is a gateway, an invitation into another world, A world where the Lemurians, the city of Telos, and the secrets of Mount Shasta are no longer legend, but something waiting to be discovered. When A Dweller on Two Planets by Frederick Oliver was officially published in 1905, it didn't just capture the attention of a niche group of spiritual enthusiasts. It ignited a wave of controversy among scholars, mystics, and individuals, seeking something beyond the boundaries of the physical world. But it wouldn't be until decades later that the story truly entered the realm of popular legend, as more and more mysteries began to surface around Mount Shasta. In 1931, a highly influential figure within the mystical community, Harvey Spencer Lewis, the founder of the Rosicrucian Order in America, published a work under the pseudonym Wisher S. Serve. This book not only echoed Oliver's tale of the Lemurians, but expanded it into a complete esoteric system, connecting Telos to ancient civilizations such as Atlantis, Egypt, and even the hidden mysteries of the Himalayas. To Lewis and his followers, Mount Shasta was a gateway between dimensions, a convergence point of ancient energy lines, and a sanctuary for a race that held knowledge modern humanity had long forgotten. Between the 1950s and 1980s, an influx of metaphysical sects, meditation groups, and communities living on the fringe of modern society began flocking to Mount Shasta, as if drawn by an invisible force. The story of the Lemurians was continually renewed, passed along in whispered meditations, spiritual gatherings, and pilgrimages into the forest, where it was believed that if one was sincere enough, a doorway might reveal itself. Many claimed.
If you've made it this far, you already know you love this content. Subscribe to UK Dark Files, drop a like, and share it with someone who needs to see this. Now let's get back to it.
Many claim to have encountered tall beings with quiet, knowing eyes, robed in white, moving through the trees with such grace it seemed time itself could not touch them. Some spiritual groups went further, insisting that the Lemurians still communicated with the outside world, not through speech, but through brainwaves, intuition, or what they described as dreams so vivid they defied belief. Some claimed to have been healed during deep meditation at the base of the mountain. Others swore they had been guided by beings of light. And there were those who recounted gatherings held in crystal-lit caverns, where the Lemurians shared forgotten chapters of human history. Of course, in a modern world grounded in logic and science, such stories are often dismissed as fantasy. But it is precisely this absence of clear confirmation that has made Mount Shasta all the more alluring. One of the strange qualities of ancient legends is that they rarely stay confined to the pages of a book. They tend to find ways of resurfacing, not through scientific validation, but through the recurring presence of things that defy explanation. And at Mount Shasta, stories of this kind happen with surprising frequency. One of the earliest and most notable accounts was published on May 22, 1932, in the Los Angeles Times. The witness was a man named Edward Lancer, a passenger aboard a train passing through the Shasta mountain range. According to his report, on a quiet afternoon, as the train drew near the base of the mountain, a strange light suddenly erupted from the southern slope, so brilliant that Lancer and several others had to squint against its glare. When he asked a train attendant about the strange glow, the reply left him even more unsettled. "You saw it yourself. The Lemurians are performing their ritual." Driven by a lingering unease, Lancer later returned to the area around Shasta to investigate the mystery further. He interviewed locals, met with ranchers, and spoke to people living along the forest's edge, only to hear the same thing again and again. Somewhere in those mountains, there is a secret community. According to these locals, the Lemurians were said to occasionally appear, briefly, in the small towns surrounding the mountain. They would purchase unusual items like salt, sulfur, and pig fat, and pay with gold bars worth far more than the goods themselves. When asked about their origin or names, they would simply smile, nod, and disappear, leaving behind puzzled stares and unanswered questions. Some local residents went further, claiming that the light Lancer had seen wasn't a random phenomenon, but part of an ancient ritual performed at dawn and dusk to honor the lost continent of Lemuria, said to have sunk into the ocean's depths. They believed the light was an offering of gratitude, a tribute to the new land, the sacred refuge of souls who survived the great cataclysm. Edward Lancer's story was not the only one. 8 years later, in June of 1940, another article, this time in the Stockton Record, propelled the Mount Shasta legend to even greater heights. Professor Edward Larkin of the Mount Lowe Observatory had reportedly spotted something extraordinary while calibrating his telescope. Within its view, he saw what he described as a massive marble temple with architecture so refined and majestic that it surpassed even the structures of ancient Yucatan or classical Greece. According to Larkin, when he later attempted to relocate the same area, the temple had vanished without a trace. Though many dismissed Larkin as delusional, the remarkable detail in his descriptions and their uncanny similarity to Oliver's account in A Dweller on Two Planets left many wondering, could any of this be real? Among the stories passed down around Mount Shasta, there is one particular detail that people find hard to ignore: the feeling that these mysterious beings do not exist solely within legend, that from time to time, they emerge into the world of humans. It is said that sometimes people have seen a tall figure in a flowing white robe, barefoot, standing at the edge of the forest, and then, in the blink of an eye, they vanish, dissolving into the air. One of the most frequently told stories is that of the Lemurian woman at Panther Springs. One early morning in 1970, a small group of campers were sitting beside the creek when they suddenly witnessed a tall, graceful woman with long hair step silently out of the dense woods. She walked directly to the stream, immersed herself in the frigid water for 5 full minutes, then rose, turned, and walked quietly back into the forest, leaving only silence in her wake. Some stories even suggest that the Lemurians have, from time to time, intervened in human affairs, quietly and with compassion. One tale speaks of a farmer on the eastern slopes of Shasta who was facing ruin after his land had cracked and dried. One day, a stranger in a white robe appeared, pointed toward the barren soil, and described a method of cultivation the man had never heard of before. A few weeks later, after trying what the stranger had suggested, the land began to recover, and the crops flourished. But from that moment on, the farmer never saw the man again. Another account tells of a bitterly cold January day when a family's car broke down on a remote mountain road. As panic and despair began to set in, a tall man with eyes as clear as mountain water appeared at the forest's edge. He said little, crouched beside the engine, adjusted a few bolts, then smiled gently and walked away. The car started again without issue. Among those who have claimed to set foot in the city of Telos, the name Dr. Dorial is often mentioned as one of the earliest. He recounted that during an expedition deep within the mountain, he discovered a cavern so vast it defied belief, stretching over 20 meters in length, nearly 10 meters in height, and lit not by fire or flame, but by an artificial sun suspended in midair. The air inside was neither cold nor damp, as though every molecule carried an invisible energy field, gently vibrating against the skin. Along the cavern walls were meticulously carved stone slabs, inscribed with strange symbols and adorned with crystals that appeared to glow from within. Though Dorial encountered no one, he insisted he was not alone. Something, unseen, was watching him, as if he had been granted permission to enter, but not to stay. Another story came from an anonymous man, documented sometime during the 1960s. He claimed that during a mountain climb, he suddenly felt faint and collapsed by the roadside. When he regained consciousness, he found himself lying on a floor of gold inlaid stone, inside a chamber where the light reflected from crystals embedded in the ceiling sparkled like stars. A tall man stood beside him, smiling gently, and said he had been temporarily brought down to rest. The man then lost consciousness once more, and when he opened his eyes again, he was back exactly where he had fallen. Perhaps the most famous of all these accounts is that of J.C. Brown, a British geologist employed by a mining company. In 1904, during a surveying mission in the Shasta region, Brown claimed to have discovered a hidden tunnel on the western slope of the mountain. According to him, the tunnel led into an underground labyrinth stretching for miles, opening into vast chambers filled with towering stone statues, copper-inlaid walls, glowing crystals, and most astonishing of all, a crypt containing mummified remains. These mummies ranged from 6 to nearly 10 feet in height, many dressed in ceremonial garb of gold and bronze, entirely unlike any prehistoric civilization ever recorded in the Americas. He stated that he had drawn detailed maps of the site before departing to prepare for a full-scale expedition. In 1934, after 3 decades of silence, he decided to share his discovery and invited 80 individuals to join the expedition back to the site. The departure date was set, but on the night before the journey, J.C. Brown disappeared. Since then, the cave of J.C. Brown has become a legend within the legend. Some claim to have found the entrance again, only to return and find it vanished. Others believe that the Lemurians themselves sealed the gateway, and that it only opens for those who are chosen. All of these stories, despite their lack of verifiable proof, continue to provoke wonder. So, if it's true, who are the Lemurians? Could they be the remnants of a long-lost continent, once home to a civilization far more brilliant than anything we've ever known, now quietly continuing their existence in secret? Or are they messengers from another dimension, where time flows according to its own rhythm? Or perhaps, more simply, are they nothing more than the product of human imagination, raised into legend by generations of storytelling? Whatever the answer may be, one thing remains certain: Mount Shasta still stands. And within it, mysteries endure, waiting to be unraveled. You may not believe every story you've just heard. Perhaps to you, the Lemurians are nothing more than a product of imagination, and the city of Telos is just another piece of folklore. But if this tale made you pause, even for a brief moment, to wonder whether wonder itself might still exist in this all-too-familiar world, then perhaps share your thoughts in the comments below. Stay with us as we continue exploring the mysteries that remain unanswered, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. We'll see you in the next story.